Europe thundered with the sound of war, the fire of greed, and across the ocean stood a continent whose mystery, whose antiquity, whose power appeared on no European map. This is that story of an unknown land, of vanished settlements, of a people yet to be born. This is the hidden history of America. Long, long ago, when the roar of European expansion had not yet spread across the world, when the steel-tipped ships had not yet learned to cut through the blue Atlantic, North America breathed in its own eternal, ancient rhythm. A continent of endless forests, boundless prairies, ice-clad mountains, and great river valleys, home to millions who had built civilizations whose knowledge, art, and skill still astonish the world. The ancestral Puebloans carved stone cities into canyon walls. The Mississippian peoples raised earthen mounds that touched the sky. The Haudenosaunee shaped a political system that would one day influence the very idea of democracy. For thousands of years, trade flowed from the Arctic to the Gulf of Mexico. Treaties were made, wars were fought, and knowledge and stories spread like rivers, natural, eternal in their flow. To them, this land was familiar. Not just familiar, it was home, a dwelling, a place of spirit. But across the sea, in Europe, the winds of ambition began to blow harder. Gold, spices, trade, empire, 4 words strong enough to change the fate of nations. And in that turbulent era, a rumor was born, a small tale that would one day shake the future. Early 1400s, a little-known fisherman from northern Europe, Arik Halvorsen, claimed a storm had carried him west of Iceland to a strange, unfamiliar shore. Black pine forests, ice-covered beaches, silent, unknown, yet real. He gathered some driftwood, carved his mark on a stone, and the storm pulled him back to Europe. The story spread. Some laughed, some doubted, but a few sailors quietly wrote it in their logbooks. That single line, that single rumor, would one day ignite Europe's curiosity. In the 1500s began the age of bold expeditions. Kings and queens wanted gold, merchants wanted new markets, and sailors wanted to see beyond legend. At last, European ships touched the shores of North America once more, and they saw it was not an empty land. It was alive, organized, and independent. Lenape, Powhatan, Shawnee, countless nations. Some welcomed the newcomers, some kept their distance, some prepared to resist. Trade began, so did misunderstandings. Religion arrived, maps were drawn, claims were made. In 1559, European traders planned a new settlement. Name, New Harrow. Craftsmen, merchants, families dreamed of prosperity. But they did not know the land had laws of its own. Winds, storms, winter, foreign soil, everything rose against them. At first, the locals gave food, fish, and help. But misunderstanding grew over hunting grounds, land borders, and those wooden fences the Europeans raised as symbols of ownership. Disease spread, livestock died, a fire destroyed their main storehouse, leadership collapsed into political conflict. And then, in 1561, New Harrow vanished entirely. abandoned homes, broken tools, and a mysterious symbol, a circle with 3 intersecting lines. No one knows what it means. It remains one of history's darkest mysteries. Then came 1605. New funds from English investors, a new attempt, a new group. Led by a disciplined man, Henry Blackwell. The settlement, Riversend. The beginning was brutal. Marshland, disease, crop failure. But Blackwell's strict rules, daily farming, communal labor, mandatory negotiation with local nations kept the colony alive. Riversend survived its first winter, its first triumph. Later, an alliance formed with a powerful indigenous confederacy. Corn kept the settlers alive. Iron strengthened the locals. But suspicion also grew, and European hunger for land never stopped. When Blackwell returned to Europe injured, leadership weakened. Internal conflict rose. Tension with local groups escalated. Still, Riversend survived, and its survival gave birth to later colonies. By the late 1600s, the entire coastline filled with European settlements: English, French, Dutch, Swedish, Spanish. With each came trade, war, greed, change, and the darkest chapter, the brutal enslavement of people taken from Africa. It changed economies, it changed cultures, it changed the future. By the 18th century, colonists discovered a new identity. They were no longer just Europeans. They were becoming a new people, carriers of new ideals. Taxes, laws, governance, resentment grew, small rebellions. The idea of independence spread. Pamphlets, books, speeches spread like wildfire. And then, explosion. Revolution ignited. History turned. Through conflict, alliances, victories, tragedies, a new nation was born. A nation whose ideals were noble, but whose history was heavy. In the centuries that followed, the nation rose to power, shaping the world through politics, science, military, and culture. Some call it the modern empire. Some call it the land of opportunity. Some call it the center of controversy. But one question remains. Does any nation stay at the height of power forever? History says no. No empire is eternal. But the story of this land is still being written. Ancient civilizations, unknown shores, lost settlements, daring explorers, together they make America's history ever-changing, ever-moving. And as long as this continent stands, vast, rich, and full of human possibility, the world will keep watching.